Hello YouTube, it's Chris here. I'm finally back with a little update on the 2CV van project. I know it's been a long time coming and I've been busy with so many other things. Basically, the council decided to set back the date for demolishing these garages a little bit, and that gave me time to do some other things I had to do in life, and do some other paid jobs and get some money, which is always useful. But in any case, it's only going to be a quick one, but just to show you where things are at, and let you know that I've not just got rid of the car or given up or finished the project without keeping everyone informed. So here we are, let's have a look. So basically, I think where we left off, I just finished doing the 2 repairs above the windscreen. I've completed the repair across here, which goes from here down to the hinge, so this whole bit is completely new across there, and it's been filled and primed and it looks lovely. The other thing I did before filling and priming this, to seal between the bonnet hinge and the scuttle here, I actually soldered. I used just normal soft solder, and heated this up, put plenty of flux in there, and just ran some solder in all the way across, just to help make it a bit more solid so it can't start to wobble, because it's only held on with spot welds, you know, and they're quite far apart. And what tends to happen with these, and the reason that they get so rusty here, is because over time, even though it's got some mastic across there and it's painted, over time you're opening and closing the bonnet, and it starts to wobble the hinge ever so slightly, and that cracks the paint and the mastic and lets water get in there. So hopefully by soldering that, it's going to make it absolutely rigid, and well, time will tell. There's only one way to find out, and that's to try it. So we'll see how that goes. On both sides I've removed the rain gutter and filled the resulting gap, and I've welded it before filling it as well, just to make sure that none of the panels separate or move, and to make sure that it's as strong as it was originally. And I've got rid of any bits of rust. Basically the whole reason for taking the gutter off was because it was so rusty where the panels overlapped. It was just so rusty, and you can kind of see down here, I haven't finished this area yet. And you can kind of see, if I can get the light right, can you see this rust? Well, it was a lot worse than that in some places, and this was completely hidden behind the gutter. The gutter comes sort of along this edge, but then it tucks in between this panel and the doorpost. So there was a lot of hidden rust. So basically I'm quite glad to be able to get rid of all of that and do the repair properly. Anyway, I'm now working on the last repair area, which is obviously, as you can see, the front end of the sill and the bottom of the A panel here. It turned out, it didn't look too bad from the outside, but once I started, you know, I knew I had to reskin the A panel here because it was really bad. Where I'd done a bodge job several years ago, but as soon as I started to peel back the metal I'd welded on back then, I then found just how bad the front of the sill was, and the mounting plate for the door hinge, which sits in here, that was really badly rusted as well. So I had to cut all of that out, and what I've done, as you can see here, I've bent a new piece of metal to replace what I've cut away from the sill, and welded in a bolt for the wing to mount on. And again, I've done what originally, you know, they didn't bother originally with these, but I've put a little reinforcing plate in there just to make that bolt a little bit more rigid, so that when you're doing the nut up and undoing it, you know, it just stays a bit stronger. So that's going to go on there like so, and I've drilled holes along the bottom edge of it to plug weld through onto the lower edge here of the sill. And then what I've got I decided to buy a hinge repair plate because it's a little bit of a complex shape, and I thought, well, if I buy one, it's going to be the right shape, it's going to be the right size, and it will go straight in there, no problem. I was wrong. I bought it, and as it came, the captive nuts for the hinge bolts were in the wrong place. I don't know if you can just see, if I wind one of these out a little bit. There we go. So you can see the original hole was much further that way, and I've now had to slot the hole back and weld a new nut in so that the hinge goes in the right place. And the old holes that as they came were right on the bend of the plate, so the hinge wouldn't have sat flat on there at all. It was no good at all. So they're now okay to use. So that's ready to go in there. And lastly, because I certainly wasn't going to try and make this myself, because it's really complex sort of shape to try and make when you haven't got a lot of specialist equipment. I just need to cut a length of this to fit up in there between the what's left of the doorpost and the sill. So there we go, that's where I'm at. I'm working on that. Once the hinge plate, the doorpost and the sill are welded on, I've then just got to make a new panel for the bottom of here, and it'll be looking good, hopefully. So that's the last rust repair that I'll be doing before this goes on the road. There's some minor work I've got to do with the bonnet and the, well, not so minor work, it depends how pretty I want to make it. But yeah, the front wings need some attention and the bonnet needs some attention, but they work as they are. They'll be road legal even if I leave them as they are. I think the only other news really to report is that I've quite excited because I've got a new welder to play with. Here's the torch from it. My old unit was definitely very much just a hobby unit. There it is, SIP MIGmate. Now it worked, but it was hard to get a reliable weld from it. It was very temperamental. The torch wasn't very good quality, and the torch sort of hose, if you like, is very soft, very flimsy, and it was easy for the wire to get trapped inside that, for it to get kinked and stuff. So I always had to be really careful to keep the torch hose as straight as possible. But anyway, a friend sorted me out with this lovely beastie here, and it's a Sabora. It's about 20 years old, I think, but it's a Sabora brand, and it's more of a semi-industrial kind of unit. Much better. It's a really strong reinforced torch hose. The torch itself is an industrial quality one. It's slightly more powerful, even though I don't need it to be more powerful for this work, but it gives a much more consistent weld. It's just more reliable. It's lovely. So that's all rigged up and ready to go. So there we go. I'm going to get on with doing that welding over there, and I shall see you guys later. Thanks for being patient and, you know, waiting for another update. I'm sorry to keep you so long, but anyway, there we go. That's how life is sometimes, eh? Right, bye for now, everyone.